I've been
Oh,
dreading this day, Justin. I've been dreading the day that I have to get on here after a loss. Well, I
yeah,
don't know, man.
it's
Take us into it, man.
it's the first time, Jake. We'll see how it goes. It's not as fun, I can guarantee you that. Man, and to lose in this way as well. At least, after the first half, it looked like this might turn into one of the more embarrassing, ugly losses, and there'd be nothing good to talk about. But there was a second half, and I think the theme of this game is kind of going to be the tale of two halves.
Yep.
Titans just trying to play catch up for the rest of the game after their start. Titans go down for the first time this season to the Pittsburgh Steelers, 27-24. In a game that was once 27-7. So we did see time and time again, the Titans do show us that they never stop playing. They never give up. We've seen them come back from almost impossible deficits before this season. And they just couldn't get it done against probably the best team the Titans have faced this year, for sure.
Yep.
Man, and this, I mean, can we start with the bad? I guess this third down defense is got to be one of the softest, worst third down defenses
terrible
in the entire NFL. And it doesn't matter how far. It could be 3rd and 25, and I still would be confident that they would give it up.
Yep.
Man, so I don't know, man. How are you feeling? What's your takeaway from this game? It's a huge roller coaster of a game, as all Titans games are.
Exactly. I mean, from the lowest of lows to almost the highest of highs. I mean, yeah, I guess we'll start with this defense, man. It is a dumpster fire for one. I want to call out that we were personally, I made the notes for the pregame preview that the Steelers punter has been their punter for several years. That's my fault. I was the one who made that note. But you know what? He didn't even matter. It didn't even matter who the Steelers punter was, because he was a non-factor in this game. The Titans cannot get off the field on third down, be it 3rd and 3 or 3rd and a mile, like you said. And it continues to plague this team. You saw the Steelers get up to the huge, 20-point lead. But I will credit the defense a little bit. In the second half, they were a little more opportunistic. I feel like this game, Justin, I don't know if you noticed, but there were a lot of balls bouncing around up in the air, fumbles and such, that the Titans just couldn't get on seemingly early. I mean, it came to fruition later.
The forced fumble by Clowney early on in the game, I thought that could have been a huge momentum swing too, but they bounced back to the Steelers' way again.
I mean, this defense showed some resolve. I mean, they only allowed 3 points in the second half, and that ended up being the difference. I mean, albeit, but this defense really kind of locked down and showed some resolve in the second half. I mean, but the Steelers' last drive where they went down, got within the red zone, they were still 4 for 4 on third down, Justin. The Titans had plenty of chances to get that ball back with more time on the clock. I mean, it ended up in the huge red zone interception by Amari Hooker, but it still wasn't enough. They still let up 4 for 4 on third down. I think that pick came on third down, so 4 for 5, whatever, man. I mean, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Still a loss.
Yeah, talking about, this was a weird game of balls bouncing this way and that, and in a lot of cases it bounced the Titans' way on defense. What kept us in the game, the biggest thing that kept us in the game were the balls that we got our hands on. Jeffrey Simmons tipping a pass with the huge Jayon Brown pick, and then that final drive with Big Ben throwing the ball down into Smith-Schuster. I mean, he had it there in both hands for a second, and Jayon Brown just able to pop it up, and then Hooker, like you said, was right there for the pick. So that really kept us in the game. We won the turnover battle, strangely enough, 3-0. We were plus 3. The end of the half interception. I mean, that was a nice play, but I don't know. I don't know if you really want to count that as that pretty much ended the first half, but.
Well, honestly, I mean, we had gifted the Steelers basically 3 points there, and that kind of turned the tide, at least, because Big Ben just took a shot randomly enough. It was right when Brett Kern bobbles the snap. Yeah. I think he could have gotten that off. I think he could have gotten the punt off, but he decided to throw a duck into the mishmash of players down the field. It ended up, giving the Steelers the ball in Titans territory. Looked like they were going to get a free 3 points right before the half, but Big Ben throws into the coverage. But albeit at the end of the day, This Titans defense let up too much in the first half. They could not stop a nosebleed. We were texting a little bit in the first half. And I told you, Justin, I was ready to record once the Titans came out, went 3 and out. I said, this is an absolute disaster. I'll record whenever you want. It's not going to matter.
Yeah.
But, Debbie Downer aside, the Titans rallied in this game to at least have the chance for a game-tying field goal. We're going to get into a Gostkowski conversation, I'm sure.
Yeah, right.
But
we should. It's time to have that conversation.
Absolutely. And but it's just it's kind of a I don't know how to feel about this game, Justin. The Steelers are one of the top teams in the AFC. There's no doubt there. They're now 6-0. But the Titans showed resolve and did come back in this game to, down 20.
Yeah.
To even have a chance is a great sign as a football team, showing resolve and things like that. But this defense needs to be fixed. Adoree Jackson needs to come back. But again, we said time and time again, Adoree Jackson coming back is not going to be the end-all, be-all solution for this defense, because they are just piss poor terrible on third down, Justin.
Yeah, it's got to, I don't know, it's got to be maybe a scheme related issue, because it seems like their guys are just catching slants and they're just easily picking up first downs on third and whatever the distance is. I mean, and strangely enough, we're okay, I feel like, for the most part, on first and second down. I mean, there was a lot of good plays, stuff in the run or flushing Big Ben out. Still 0 sacks, though. I mean, this defense has got to get some pass rush, or we're not going to get very far this year, even if we do make it to the playoffs. And I definitely think this is a playoff team, and the playoffs will be in our future. But again, going back to what kept us in the game and the tipped passes, and those really kind of saved it for us. It gave the ball back to our offense, got them a chance to get going, put some points on the board to make our comeback. But still, at the end of the game, the Steelers' final drive, didn't they start at like the 10-yard line?
Yeah.
And they just drove all the way down right before Big Ben threw that tipped interception. But yeah, it's not like our defense was playing much better. We were just able to get some tipped passes for turnovers. I mean, they were converting third down after third down yet again. I think they were 8 for 13. Just killing us on the time of possession. I think it was something like 37 to 23 minutes time of possession. It was just an uphill battle through the entire game. After the first quarter, they had it for all but 3 plays. I think our offense had run 3 plays, and we were down 14 to nothing. Yeah, had 1 yard, and we were down 14
1 yard.
And a lot of that is, I mean, I can't blame the offense. I mean, you're going to have a 3 and out. It sucked that we had one on our first drive of the game. But the defense just never gave them the ball back. They could not get off the field. And, we just too much to overcome. But also –
Yeah, I mean –
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, go for it.
Going into this stat line a little bit, I said Ryan Tannehill was going to have an MVP performance, I think, against this Pittsburgh defense, because they were going to bottle up Henry. They were going to sell out Derrick Henry, 20 carries for 75 yards and a touchdown. He showed some flashes toward the end where he was starting to gash a little bit. You thought it might be
getting going in
time.
The second half, yeah.
For sure, but there just wasn't enough time left with that just god-awful first half. I mean, I don't know how much you want to touch on the first half, but I mean, there's nothing to talk about there. The Titans just came out and got kicked in the teeth. I said that in our preview. We got to come out and kick the Steelers in the teeth. Well, they did that to us. It was an absolute disaster in that first half. Couldn't stop a nosebleed on defense. I mean, other than the one drive where they made it 14-7 with Corey Davis's touchdown. Nothing going. Ryan Tannehill was 18 of 30 for 220, 2 touchdowns and no picks. I mean, not a terrible stat line by any means. I didn't think Ryan Tannehill played a bad game. He did make what ended up being a possibly damning mistake with that intentional grounding at the end of the game. That backs up the field goal 10 yards, and obviously Gostkowski misses.
Man, that final drive was so promising. I mean, did you not feel it, especially when we were starting to pick up first downs pretty consistently? It's like, this is going to happen again. I can't believe this is happening again. But
he hit A.J. Brown on a 3rd and long out route. They had it at about the 25, and you said, and exactly, you felt it in your heart. Holy moly, they're going to pull it off.
Yeah.
They're going to at least get the tying field goal, if not the touchdown, because we've seen the Titans march down the field and do this time and time again. But that intentional grounding ended up being, the end all be all, moves Gostkowski back.
And we can talk about some of that.
Throws the rhythm off. Yeah.
Exactly. We can talk about some of that play calling too. I mean, how'd you feel about? I think it was a 3rd and 13. I think it was like a 2nd and 20 maybe after we lost some yards, and then Tannehill had that intentional grounding. But we had a short pass to Davis. It was like pickup of 7, so we had a 3rd and 13, and then we go for a home run ball back to Davis. Mm-hmm. I didn't like that a whole lot. I know Tannehill was under pressure. They had a pass rush on him coming quick, so I think maybe that had to do with his decision.
And it seemed like a panic kind of thing. The Titans had one timeout left, I believe, and it was, the clock was getting down to the nitty-gritty, and they were hurrying up on offense, and it seemed like a kind of just let's take a shot kind of situation. And I don't know. I would rather for them to take the time out there and get a good play call or something.
Pick up 5 more yards or something. I know that a lot of people out there may not be fans of that conservative kind of play call, but give the ball. Yeah, give the ball, to Henry, let him pick up 5 or 6 yards, make it a 40-yard field goal. I think the kick would have been good if it was 40 yards because it just swung right wide.
Yep.
The special teams, man, gets an F for the entire game. With the botched snap to Brett Kern, that gave him a short field for a touchdown. Gostkowski hit a 51-yarder, but now that seems like an afterthought because he shanked the game tire at the very end. Khalif Raymond bobbled a kickoff, which gave the offense bad starting field position. We gave up a long punt return that ended up being a touchdown at the end of the half. Did we not? That was at the end of the half, their last touchdown. Like, man, special teams, bad game. When Kern actually punted the ball, that was good. He had a good yards per punt average. He had a 63-yarder. So when, he was able to actually punt the ball, that worked out. But so many mistakes on coverage and in the return game and in the field goal kicking game.
Exactly. I mean, we get Dane Cruikshank back, and we have we have Chris Milton on one side, Dane Cruikshank on the other. You'd think this is one of the better punt coverage teams in the NFL with the 2 gunners, and they just look terrible today. I thought tackling was bad, Justin. I thought consistently defenders were out of position to make a play, especially, on defense and 3rd downs. You had them right there, maybe for a 2-3 yard gain, and they would spin out of it, dipsy-do, and get a first down. It was headache inducing, seemingly. Yeah. And I mean, give the Titans defense credit. They allowed 3 points in the second half. That's, all you can really ask for, especially after getting gashed up and down the field in the first half. Yeah. It's amazing the Titans made this a game at all, frankly.
Right.
And you love to see that resolve. And you're not going to go out there and win every game, but this one definitely hurts. Especially, I think we should get into the conversation about Stephen Gostkowski, Justin.
Yeah.
I texted you immediately after Gostkowski's got to go. It might be a little reactionary, but what do you think, man? What do you think?
I mean, I agree. I don't think we can count on him really week in and week out. He's just been so up and down. The consistency is not there. He can hit the 51-yarder, but you can't count on him to make a 30-yarder. And he's been clutch, but now this is the first game on the line kick that he's missed now. So I feel like he's just hurting us at this point, but at the same time, what's the alternative? Are you going to really go? Is there a kicker out there that can be signed that is going to do better?
I mean, at least bring somebody in to compete with this guy. I mean, I saw a John Glennon tweet right after the game. I bookmarked it just for this video. Gostkowski starts out the season 0 for 3. Obviously, the Denver game. What a disaster. Missed extra points all over the place. Can't hit the broad side of a barn. Mm-hmm. Then starts out 0 for 3. Then he goes 9 for 9 in his next 9 field goal attempts. Okay, we're riding the Gostkowski train.
You like that?
He's the Hall of Fame kicker that we signed him on to be.
Was it the Vikings game, I think, where he was like 6 for 6, hit multiple plus 50-yarders? Yeah, he was the hero, the big-time hero after that one.
But here you go, Justin. Here's my argument to get rid of Stephen Gostkowski, or at least bring somebody in to compete with this guy. He started off 0 for 3. 9 for 9, and then in his last 5 kicks, Justin, he's 1 for 4. Especially, in this moment, you come all the way back, you drive down the field, you get the drive from Tannehill in the offense that you really want. You set him up for a 40 to 50 yard field goal, and he pushes it wide right. I mean, yeah, the grounding play by Tannehill ended up being damning, even though it didn't seem like it at the time. But you can't have that kind of inconsistency.
Yeah.
You have the stretches of bad, horrible, and you have the stretch of good, but now you're back to bad, horrible with the 1 for 4. I mean, what do you do with the guy? You got to bring somebody in to compete.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not against it. I'm not against that at all. If that is going to ultimately help the team, if there is a guy out there, I'm just saying that's my only concern is I don't know who is out there. I'm sure J-Rob is on the lookout. He's got his binoculars out, looking around the waiver wire. Who in the world can we come in? Can we get to come in and compete? What's Greg Joseph doing? Is he on a roster? He was the guy that just knocked out all of those extra points for us at the end of the season. He was doing fine. And then we released him just so we could sign Gostowski. So if he's still out there, I don't know. Can you bring in a kicker just to have a competition? Can you have like a midweek, kicking competition? And then if he,
I don't see why the hell not at this point. I mean,
yeah.
what else can you do?
Training camp all over again.
Exactly. And I guess we'll point out some positives, Justin. I don't want to be such a Debbie Downer on this kicking situation, but damn, it is hard to not be at this point, especially, at some point, we had comments and things that Gostkowski's going to lose you guys a game eventually. And
there you go.
I don't know. It seemed like even if he did hit it going into overtime, it could have been one of those situations where whoever wins the coin toss is going to win this game.
Yeah, for sure.
Because if Pittsburgh wins the coin toss to start overtime, I have no hope in this defense to stop them from going down and scoring the game-winning touchdown. Point out some positives in this game. A.J. Brown is the receiver that we need him to be. He had 6 catches, 153 yards, and a touchdown. He had that big 70-plus yarder to kind of get the game back into a scope. I think it was 27-7 at that time. That made it 27-14. And it kind of got the offense rolling a little bit, opened things up a little bit. Corey Davis had 6 catches, 35 yards, and the 1 touchdown at the beginning of the game. You like to see that kind of production from him. Adam Humphries, only 1 catch on that spectacular extending third down.
It wasn't even intended for him. Yeah,
exactly. Corey Davis climbs the ladder just through his hands. It was a great attempt by Corey Davis, but Adam Humphries was right there to corral it in. Jonnu Smith has been quiet, man. He's just 1 catch for 9 yards on 4 targets. I mean, he needs to be that playmaker. There were no hashtag Ferks downs on the day, which was I have my notebook. I always tally the hashtag Ferks downs to talk about it after the game, but nothing from him.
Nothing from our tight ends. Yeah.
But you love to see AJ Brown being the guy he was drafted to be and kind of coming through for us in that aspect.
Very promising to see his breakout game after coming back from the knee injury that kept him out. So yeah, he's back. He looks healthy. He's strong. That 73-yarder. I mean, the yards after catch, man, is what he does best. He was clutch too for us on that final drive, picking up a couple first downs.
Absolutely.
So yeah, like you said, love seeing that. Yeah, where was Adam Humphries this game? Because thank goodness he did come down with that pass, because I think that was the drive where we got our first touchdown that
correct
didn't completely leave a total goose egg on the board in the first half. So yeah, and if you take out that 73-yarder to AJ Brown and you look at Ryan Tannehill's stats, they seem kind of underwhelming a little bit. I think he did seem a little bit off in this game. I think it was Buck Rising maybe tweeted out something. He mentioned how Tannehill just seems a little high on a lot of his throws. He was just a touch off here and there. You saw that with the Corey Davis climbing the ladder. Like he didn't need to throw it that high. I mean, there wasn't a guy in the immediate vicinity of Davis. So yeah, he's seemed a little bit off, but just a weird game at the end of the day, because he was making the plays down at the end of the game, the final drive. Intentional grounding hurt, but I mean he put us in position, to at least take the game into overtime. So, game from Ryan Tannehill, but yeah, we almost needed him to be that MVP performance to win the game.
My heart aches, Justin. I was so ready to come into this and stand on the soapbox for Ryan Tannehill being in the MVP conversation. I even said it I watched a game with a Dolphins fan today. I watched the Titans game with a Dolphins fan today, and I was ragging him before coming in. I said, MVP candidate Ryan Tannehill, here he comes. and it just hurts my heart after professing such love for him in the preview video that he kind of, yeah. I mean, he made plays down the stretch to keep this team in it,
Yeah,
and he's
definitely.
consistently done that. I got to give him cred there, but he wasn't the guy we needed him to be today, especially with Derrick Henry, shut down to under 80 yards. He had 75 yards on the game. Only 20 carries from Derrick Henry, which is a little uncharacteristic. But again, we were down 20 points, Justin. I mean, you're not going to pound the rock a whole bunch of times down 20.
Yeah. He had maybe 20-something yards, 30 yards at the half. So a lot of those yards came in the second half when we were able to get back into the game. So we could afford to hand the ball back to him a couple times and get back into our regular offense.
And I had a glimmer of hope because on that Ryan Tannehill intentional grounding play at the end of the game, he got rid of it. Could have been called roughing the passer. When the flag came out and they showed the replay, I said, oh my God, this is going to be 15. They're going to have a shot at the end zone or a couple shots at the end zone. But it did end up being intentional grounding. It was the right call. Yeah. I can't stand here and say it should have been roughing the passer or whatever on an intentional grounding.
Yeah.
But yeah, it hurt. It hurt, man, just because you said it perfectly. You felt it in your heart that they were going to drive down the field and maybe get the game winner touchdown or at least, a chip shot to get it into overtime. And just the wind out of the sails right at the end. Gostkowski pushes the field goal, and it was what an odd game this was. Like you said, tale of two halves. The first half, I said it earlier, I was ready to record. I had texted you, we can record in the third quarter. It's not going to matter, man. It's not going to matter. And then they storm all the way back, only allow 3 points in the second half. And then, right at the end, falls flat.
Yeah, so crazy. Kind of like you said, like in the first half, like I'm thinking, man, are we getting exposed here? Are we actually kind of pretenders now? All these close games, maybe it's kind of a mirage, our 5-0 record. But there's something to say about the fight in the second half.
For sure. And the exposure and the kind of exposed argument, Kevin Byard had a quote afterwards, a lot of things when you're winning can be swept under the rug. This defense has been swept under the rug for the first 7 weeks of this NFL season, Justin. This defense is bad. This defense is not good. And that sucks even more because you bring in Jadeveon Clowney to maybe be the final piece of this defense from last year to get you to that Super Bowl, to get you past, the Kansas City Chiefs, for instance. If you had a signature pass rusher in that game, you maybe advance to Miami and go to the Super Bowl.
Right.
But you get all these pieces, you return a lot of guys. I mean, you have new play caller on defense. You have 3 new assistants, I believe. And it just sucks, man. This defense was definitely exposed today, at least in the first half. That kind of pretender syndrome, you thought. And they've been swept under the rug for the first 7 weeks. And you saw it today. Pittsburgh hopped out to a 20-point lead.
Yeah. And it's so bizarre that this same defense only did give up the 3 points in the second half. And a lot of that has to do with the bend but don't break, but very opportunistic. Balls bouncing up in the air. You got to come down with it. That was our best play on defense was those tipped passes. But, it's so crazy with the way the second half went. And the Steelers are a great team. All due respect to the Steelers. You guys earned the win. I don't think we had any business winning that game. It's crazy that it even came to that field goal at the end. But at the same time, with the way this team bounced back and just the feel of the game in the second half, I'm almost looking forward to a rematch. I think we can. I really would like to see the Steelers again because I think we can beat them if we come out and play a whole game like we did in that second half. If both these teams make the playoffs and we get matched up with them, I don't think I'm too scared of them. Given that our defense can not, give up 1,000 third downs like they did today. But yeah, I'm not super intimidated if we do have to face the Steelers down the road. But pass defense has got to be addressed for sure.
Exactly. I mean, initial reaction, especially with the missed field goal at the end, your heart was ripped out. You just felt nothing. But and then you kind of think about it. You give yourself half an hour before we hop on here to record. I'm glad you gave me a half hour because I would have come out spewing the sky is falling. But it's important that we look at this team. They are 5-1. Yes, there's issues on defense, but the Titans at the end of the day are still 5-1. still in the lead in the AFC South. Still very much looking like a playoff caliber team. I don't think the Titans missed the playoffs. I mean, your first loss of the game is in week 7 to a now 6-0 Steelers team. It's not like you went out and laid an egg against the Jags, or you went out and laid a game against the Jets or something, where, the Titans are obviously coming into this one and supposed to win. Now, looking forward next week to Cincinnati, if this team comes out and falls behind, 20 points, then we might start. Maybe the sky is falling for this defense.
Maybe so.
But looking forward, going to Cincinnati, this should be a get-right game for the Titans. I mean, address a lot of things, especially third down defense. Look for Adoree Jackson to come back, hopefully off of IR next week with the Cincinnati game.
Yeah.
And there's no reason we can't record this time next week saying the Titans are 6-1. Back on track. I mean, knock on wood, albeit I'm trying to be an optimist here, man.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. Yeah, next week at Cincinnati, winnable game. They are putting up a lot of points. Joe Burrow, he does have weapons down there with AJ Green. I think he's had a slow season so far, but they got T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. So it's going to be a challenge again for our pass defense. But they gave up 30, I think it was 37 to 34 today against the Browns.
And it was a last-minute touchdown, yeah.
Yeah, and they gave up 30, I think, the week before to the Colts. So our offense I think we can definitely match them blow for blow. And I'm looking for a big game from the offense next week. So hopefully, it's a get-right game. We can move to 6-1 next week, and we'll be in good shape. There's no reason to overreact to this game. There might still.
I was ready to overreact. Yeah. I was ready to hop on here and overreact big time. Yeah. But
that first half gave lots of reasons for hot takes and overreactions and
without a doubt
and all that. But we rallied somewhat, almost pulled it off. So I think we're going to be okay. Just the first half it was really the doubts really started creeping in about this team, but I think we're going to be okay. I think. Please. Adoree Jackson, I would love to. A lot of people are saying, him coming back isn't going to fix the entire defense. Well, I'd rather have him there and the defense to still be struggling than to not have him there. I mean, let's give it a shot.
Exactly.
Throw him out there. Let's see what happens.
And at this point, I mean, third down defense can't get any worse. It's not like
we're going to be worse. We're not going to be worse with Adoree out there.
So exactly. It's
only going to help.
Glass half full kind of thing. It can only get better. Third down defense can only get better, you would hope. I mean, like you were saying, we're at 3rd and 12, and I'm just sitting there with my eyes closed like, oh, my God, we're going to let up another 3rd and 10 plus, which they did plenty of today.
Yeah, it happened time and again.
But they did it. They, credit to them. They did employ that kind of bend, don't break in the second half that we've seen in past years from the Titans defense. Again, harping on the point. They only gave up 3 points in the second half. That's at least got to be encouraging for Titans fans.
Mm-hmm.
And this team stormed back and made it a game in the end. Exactly. We had no business even having an attempt at a game-tying field goal at the end. But then that just makes it that much more of an emotional roller coaster when Gostkowski does push it wide right. So what a game, what a roller coaster of a game, man. Do you have anything to close this down with, or anything to kind of take us into the week with?
Man, not really. I think just like I just said, it's tough taking a loss, especially like this when you do so much to come back at the end only to fall short. Especially we got kicking issues as always. We got pass defense issues, but we're still a good team. We're going to win a lot of games this year. It's still exciting. It's an exciting time to be a football fan. I'm enjoying these games immensely, even when we lose. Even if it's just, I didn't enjoy the first half. Let's clarify that. This is one of the worst halves of Titans football I think I ever saw.
One of the worst, at least in recent memory. Good God!
But this team still managed to make it possibly a winning game, a game they could win at the end. So this team definitely, they don't get shaken. They don't quit. So a lot of good qualities about this team moving forward. So Pittsburgh, congrats, last AFC team to be undefeated at 6-0. That's a tough division, though. I can't wait to see some of their matchups with Baltimore coming up.
Without a doubt. Yeah, I mean, all the credit in the world to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, they deserved to win this football game, and they ended up winning this football game. You know, at the end of the day, if the Titans did end up squeaking it out in overtime or something, we would have come on saying we're one of the luckiest teams in the NFL to even, you know, flirt with winning this game.
Right.
So definite credit to them. I mean, the Titans came out, looked flat in the first half, gave a good second half effort, but eventually fell short. But again, I'm going to say at the end of the day, this team is 5-1. This team is 5-1 through 6 games. If I told you that at the beginning of the season, you would have taken it 100 times out of 100. So let's just be optimistic about this Titans team. We have a very winnable game next week at Cincinnati. You know, if they come out and lay an egg there, we might have a little cause for concern. But at the end of the day, still 5-1. Let's go get right at Cincinnati, and don't let this loss, you know, put a damper on this team. I still think this is a very special team. Yeah. The defense can only get better. I God hope they can't get worse.
Yes.
So moving forward, let's keep a glass half full mindset with this team. 5-1, leading the AFC South. Yeah. Hey,
always optimistic.
That's what Titans Tube is all about.
We're going to
come on and give a great, you know, pregame speech for the preview on Friday. So, Justin, I don't know. Take us to the barn, man. What a crazy game.
Titans 5-1, just a little skid mark, just a little bump in the road on the way to the Super Bowl in 2021 of February. We're still making it, guys. This is, I mean, you know, we're not gonna be the 72 Dolphins to go undefeated all the way to the Super Bowl. So it's gonna come at some point, but like you said, still reason to be excited about this team. 5-1 is nothing to hang your head about at all. So you know, we're gonna go into next week with Cincinnati and hopefully get right back on track. So yeah, looking forward to it, Jake. We'll have our videos out probably Friday, maybe Saturday, but as always, by this weekend for sure.
Right on. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Good God, just the slight mistake I made with the punter and the lineup in the preview video. I expect Steelers fans to come full force at us.
Yeah.
So, you know, do your worst, Pittsburgh. We'll see you in January. Like you said, Justin.
Bring it on in January. Yeah.
The heart being ripped out by the kick, but it's still, we'll see you in January. You know what? Let's see what Derrick Henry's got down the road. So, yeah, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. This team's still 5-1. Tighten up and have a good rest of your weekend, everybody, and have a good week.
Tighten up, y'all. Have a good one.
Peace.